EA announced that the next Battlefield will be coming in spring of this year. That is the year 2021, if you forgot. And they'll reveal it in the springtime. And this is great news because it's more Battlefield. Battlefield is really one of the best multiplayer experiences out there. It's just there's nothing else like it. So it's great. We're going to get more of it. The thing that's unique about Battlefield is the fact that obviously there's lots of players in one game, and not only are there a lot of players, there's a lot of action going on. You got tanks, you got planes, you got boats. Obviously, you have all the foot soldier action. You got people dropping down from parachutes. You got people to shoot above. You got people to shoot below. You have all kinds of verticality. The maps are expansive. They're different terrains along the different maps. There's so much going on in one map, let alone if you're playing Conquest, like one point, there's so much going on. The way the teamwork works, there's just nothing quite like Battlefield. I'm not suggesting that every single Battlefield game is this hyper amazing game, but it's hard to deny that when Battlefield is good, Battlefield is really good, and everybody pays attention to it, and for good reason, because it's just so good. Not to mention the destruction. How could I forget the destruction? This is just one of the most unique aspects of Battlefield. No place is safe, especially when you got a tank busting through walls and things like that. It's such a cool game. It took me so long to get into Battlefield, and I didn't quite understand what it was. And then one day I got my hands on Battlefield 3, and it was like, oh my gosh, like, why didn't I play this earlier? This is so dope. So I'm really glad that Battlefield is coming back. And these are some of the things that I think should be in the next Battlefield. Now, they have mentioned that this next Battlefield will return to its kind of modern warfare-y type of scenario, like a Battlefield 3 and like a Battlefield 4. So most of what I'm going to reference in terms of what I think should be in the next Battlefield is going to reference a Battlefield 3 and a Battlefield 4. Obviously, we need good maps, which is a huge reference to Battlefield 3. But I think we need 50 versus 50. I think it's time for that. They mentioned that they're going to increase the number of people in one game. And I think 50 versus 50 is probably the logical solution. Fortnite exists at this point, and Fortnite does 1 versus 99. So if Fortnite could achieve that, then I imagine EA is also going to try to achieve that as well. Fortnite has also done 50 versus 50. They have different modes where you can do 50 versus 50, and it works. For me, at least on my internet connection, when I'm playing 50 versus 50 on Fortnite, whenever I do play it, it works very well. There's not that much latency issues and anything like that. So I feel like it can be done at this point. That's not to suggest that it's going to be perfect for everybody. And obviously EA's got a crazy track record of not great internet connection when it comes to Battlefield. But it does usually get better over time. And so, if they could get it right the first time, or at least if they could get it right over time, I think 50 versus 50 is the logical next step if they want to add more people. The other thing I want to see in this next Battlefield is better teamwork with squads. One of the issues that I've had with Battlefield as a person who puts a lot of emphasis on teamwork is you get into a game and there's like 3 squads of all snipers, or 2 squads with a bunch of engineers, or too many supports, stuff like that, right? And that really makes it hard to win. Like if you're like me and you, no matter how casual you're playing it, like you just want to win the games no matter what, that's kind of annoying. And so I genuinely don't think that people who just play Battlefield for the fun of it because, you know, you get to do all this crazy stuff, they're not thinking about balance. They're not thinking about, I already have an engineer and a support. Maybe I should go assault. They're not thinking about that kind of stuff. They're just thinking about What do I want to play? And I'm going to hop in that. Meanwhile, you already got like 3 engineers and nobody's really using that many vehicles. So why are you choosing engineer, right? So I feel like if EA did something, just something very subtle to encourage the idea like, hey, it's actually good to have some balance between your entire team and particularly your squad. But Overwatch does something where as you're choosing your team composition, there's just little prompts that suggest you have too many tanks. You need a support. At least give one, or you only have one support, or you need more DPS, something like that. If EA DICE added something like that to your choice, just to let you know, hey, just think about it. I think you might have some better balance in these, match-made type of games where, people are just choosing whatever. Okay, that's not to limit the freedom. That's not to say, like, it should be a lock. Like, if there's already 2 engineers, then you have to pick support or assault. I'm not trying to suggest that. But what I'm trying to say is I'm just trying to get people to think more about the balance aspect. And if they do something subtle like that, I think that would help quite a bit. The other thing I want out of the next Battlefield is an improved commander mode. I loved commander mode in Battlefield 4. I really enjoyed just seeing the entire map and helping people take over the different points in Conquest. I'm a coach at heart. I've coached a few basketball teams, and I enjoy just being able to help people achieve the goals that they want, which in particular is, with Conquest, is get all the points that you can and hold them for as long as possible while killing a bunch of people. It's very satisfying when you see that your team was kind of struggling before you got in there, and then they're not struggling as much anymore now that you're helping them out. You got the UAVs going, you got the missiles being launched, you got the giant sweeping UAV thing, whatever it's called. I forget the name of it, but you understand what I'm saying. Like, it's kind of a satisfying feeling. But the problem is communication's a little difficult. So I've been in scenarios where people are like, what do I do next? And I'm like, well, we already got 3 out of the 5 points. We don't want to overextend. So we kind of just need to chill, like protect Charlie, protect Bravo. And there's no kind of command to be able to communicate that. So then I get spammed like, what do you want me to do next? What do you want me to do next? And it's like, I appreciate you. I appreciate you wanting to take some commands for me. I appreciate that. I really do. But I literally cannot communicate anything to you because I don't have anything. So if they could add stuff like that, that would be really helpful. Simple things like, defend Charlie. What do you want me to do? Defend Charlie. Defend Bravo. Attack Echo. UAV is on cooldown if you're asking for that. Just stuff like that. UAV has 12 seconds left. Something along those lines to where you have more ability to communicate to the squads that are trying to solicit your help and solicit your expertise. You being able to see the entire battlefield, right? I would love to have team messaging. That would be great. You could just type it in. Or, if you're on console, quickly type something in and all the squads or maybe even a specific squad could receive your message. But you could imagine that is going to be misused quite a bit. So, I'm not really in for that. It would be funny at times because I'm sure people would say all kinds of funny stuff throughout the match, but you could also imagine people would get really toxic to all the squads. So unfortunately, I don't think that that would work. Yes, there's the ability to cause mutiny with the other squads and boot the commander, but I don't think everybody's going to be down with that. The other thing is with the commander mode, instead of having the menu like they did in Battlefield 4, I feel like it would be great if stuff was remappable. So if you had a button that was assigned to UAV and then maybe UAV responses if people are asking for it or if you want to direct somebody or, Charlie attack or, point attacks and things like that. You can map it to the right bumper. You could map things specific to squad commands, things like that. I feel like that would make it a lot smoother instead of you got to highlight a point and then it like snaps to the point if you're playing on console. And then you got to, all these things happening. You got Charlie Point right in the middle, but then you got the squad that you want to highlight, and then it like snaps to Charlie, and you're like, no, like I'm trying to get the squad. Instead, just make certain commands mappable to certain buttons, and so that frees up more space. And in Battlefield 4, you could highlight whatever squad you wanted anyway, so I really don't understand the need to highlight the squad in the same way. I guess it's faster in certain moments. I'm not gonna go as far as to say it's completely unnecessary, but it's annoying sometimes. And I feel like it would just be nice to just have some really quick action buttons so you could move, and it would make the commander battles really interesting in that way. But I have to ask, the fact that we're getting a new Battlefield, and the fact that EA has stated that there's going to be more players in the game, is more players the answer to making Battlefield better? Because if you put more players, which I imagine it's going to be 100 total, that's just going to increase the probability for network issues, right? And as we mentioned before, Battlefield doesn't have the greatest track record with network perfection. How many times have you been shot after you've already taken cover behind a wall, right? You remember those kind of situations? So I feel like if you're going to add more players, then it's going to be a greater chance that there's just going to be more network issues from the get-go. And I feel like EA shouldn't focus on adding more players until they finally get the network issues mostly under control. It's difficult. I'm not going to suggest that it's easy. And I'm not going to suggest creating all this action that happens. The fact that they could even make this game online work is kind of remarkable in and of itself. But that doesn't excuse the fact that, for the most part, most Battlefields don't launch very well. So I feel like until you can launch it very well, start with the 32 versus 32, and maybe in a later patch, add more people. I feel like that makes more sense until you guys can finally figure out how to do the network stuff with perfection. Not only that, you're going to have to make maps bigger if you add more people. You can't keep maps the same size. So let's take Battlefield 4, whatever map you want to choose. Imagine adding, 36 more players? I feel like that's going to be way more crowded than it needs to be. It already feels good, 32 versus 32. It doesn't feel like you're always engrossed in action. There's some breathing time at times. But if you add 36 more players, I feel like there's just going to be action all over the place. And so the logical solution is make the maps bigger. But if you make the maps bigger, that's going to make vehicles more necessary. And that's going to not incentivize foot soldiers to take points and things like that. It's going to be more, the map is going to be more dependent on vehicles. And I feel like the balance that Battlefield has achieved so far between staying on foot and being in a vehicle is pretty good. Maybe you feel differently about that, but I feel like it's pretty good. It doesn't need that much changing. And so if you add more players, that might mess with the balance a little bit. Maybe they get it right on the first try. I imagine they would, but it concerns me a little bit. And so I think maybe talk about destruction. Let's look at destruction. Maybe that's the answer to making Battlefield better. Now, that is a thought I had. I don't actually think that thought could be pushed all the way through. Maybe you've already thought about this and you're thinking, yeah, I think destruction is the way to go also. Here's why I think that might be a problem. How much more can be destroyed already? Like, they added Levolution in Battlefield 4, but I feel like they added that because Battlefield 3 pretty much perfected how far they could take destruction without ruining the map. Because if you make the entire map just completely being able to be leveled flat, that map's not going to be fun anymore. There's nothing to hide behind. None of the scenery that existed, it's just all gone now. If every map turns into that, except for the ones with water, then it's not going to be as fun. It's not going to be as interesting. You're going to be stuck trying to hide behind your tanks and stuff like that because there's nothing else to hide behind. So what else do? You can't have tanks level the ground because then there's going to be potholes everywhere, which it's going to make it hard for vehicles to travel over. It's going to make it hard for people to run. So what more can you do with destruction? The solution, I think, might be the answer, is do some more Levolution type of stuff, but just have more of it, really. And I hate let's just do more Levolution. Let's do more massive destruction. But I feel like the set piece stuff was kind of cool. But instead of just set pieces and just crazy destruction, find ways to alter the map while also having these crazy set pieces that you can destroy. More than one. So that way, stuff is happening throughout the entire match. Because sometimes in Battlefield 4, the main destruction point never was destroyed for whatever reason. And that's fine. But it is a lot more interesting when certain points change because of destruction or because of something that was changed. A bridge was raised or whatever the case may be. And I feel like that would be so much better. So what would you like to see in the next Battlefield? Do you believe more players are the answer to making Battlefield better? Tell me what you're thinking in the comments below. If you enjoyed this episode, please tap that thumbs up button. Also, consider subscribing so you can watch new gameplay videos from the latest games, as well as engage in more topic discussions like this one. My name is Anthony Shelton. Thanks for watching. I'll talk to you later.